Napa know-how.
A Napa guy knows more isn't always better, unless we're talking about full-size vans. These beasts do more than get you from A to B. They have so much space a man can live in it. With shag carpeting, waterbed, and a sweet lava lamp, these mobile abodes have all the comforts of home. With quality parts and plenty of Napa know-how, you can keep the original tiny house running longer, stronger. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
Blog Talk Radio.
Well, once again, I managed to be approximately 60 seconds late for my own show, but in my own defense, I did have an absolutely beautiful daughter of mine that was visiting up until about 5 minutes ago. Big shout out to my daughter Samantha, who refused to do this interview because I'm scared shitless. So thanks so much to my beautiful daughter. Real quickly, because I see all three of my guests are online, I'm going to do a real quick shout out for events today before I forget, because I probably will. To those of you that are looking for me for tomorrow, and this is really, really important, I will be at the Saloon on Calhoun. If anybody wants to come and see me and bring me anything that I need to take to New York City for my festival, I will be at the Saloon on Calhoun after daughter with my dinner. Okay, this is without wine. I'm thinking I should probably start drinking when I'm doing my show. Anyway, I'll be at the Saloon on Calhoun anytime after 6 o'clock tomorrow. For those of you that are in the area, 12 Angry Men is going to be playing at Inspiration Gallery and Studios, which is the actual place that I did my film event here first before I'm going to New York City, of course. So please go out and support them. They're a lovely, lovely, lovely theater troupe. Very inexpensive. It's only $10 for tickets. Inspiration Studios is located at 1500 South 73rd Street in West Dallas. Please do your best to support them. Obviously, the big tout on the show lately has been, obviously, Art is Alive Film Festival. Again, the website, artisalivefilmfestival.yolasite.com. I have a Facebook page called Art is Alive. You need to check out both. You need to get your tickets. You need to support at least one day. I've now stretched it out to 4 days, which means I get to be in New York longer. Yay! I'm so excited I can't stand it. But more importantly, it's important because we have 25 different filmmakers, 3 industry panels, we have 1 celebrity event, we have live music 2 nights, we have a great award ceremony. Most importantly, I couldn't possibly, and I'm not just saying that because I have one of my filmmakers on right now, I couldn't possibly be more blessed with the 25 filmmakers that I am dealing with right now. They are very patient, they're very persistent, they're very passionate, and I'm very, very blessed and very lucky. So please come out and support them. This festival really has nothing to do with me and everything to do with them. So please do your best to do so. So I'm not quite sure which order we have all 3 of these, so I'm just going to connect all of them at once, and we'll start our show. Hi.
Hello. Debbie here.
Is this Jennifer? Oh, it is. Oh, it's the big boss. Shit. I was so hoping to get you last. Okay, so you're first, so hang on.
Okay. I think Debra's on too.
Okay,
Yes,
so Jennifer, this is you. Okay.
Okay.
So let's just get
Hi.
let's get the last one. Hi, Jennifer. Well, hello, young man.
Hello.
You're all in my ear
How are
all
you?
at once. This is kind of freaking me out a lot. Actually, I'm petrified. Thank you. It's hard. It's really hard to have you all at one time. First of all, I'm nervous. And second of all, your movie is one of my favorites. And third of all, you, young man, before I start, I need you to pronounce your name because I'm petrified of mispronouncing your name. So please tell me how to say your name.
Ciaran.
Okay. Well, we'll just say sir because I don't want to keep saying that wrong. Because I literally don't, because I'll feel like a complete jerk. And I'm very nervous. You're a very intimidating young man. The first time I saw you on screen, and I told this to Debbie too, I'm like, I'm afraid of him. I've never met you. I've never talked to you, but I'm kind of afraid. So just bear with me. I'll do really well for you guys, I promise. I'm just a little nervous. So how is everyone today?
Great.
And they'll answer me at once.
We'll all say it at the same
wonderful.
time. 1, 2, 3. Great.
Great.
Oh, wonderful. So we're all good. So I'm going to tell you guys how I do my shows because none of you have been on here before, surprisingly. Basically what we do is we cover you professionally, we cover you personally, and then, of course, we're going to cover the film, obviously. That kind of goes without saying. And there's a lot of mega talent on the film. So I'm going to start with Debra, if you guys don't mind, and then we'll kind of work our way down. They're all kind of uniform questions, obviously. So, Debra, hi.
Hi.
I'm nervous. I'm so nervous. It's hard to interview people you know really well. Well, I know I do, but it's different because, it is what it is. Okay, so first of all, Debra, because you're the director, we'll start with you, obviously. So I'm going to bounce around a little bit, And one of the most important things that I think we talk about first is that you didn't just wake up being a filmmaker yesterday. So I want you to kind of give a short summation, each one of you will do this, in terms of how you started out getting into film, because not all of you automatically came out of the womb and said, I'm going to make film right away. So give everybody, Debra, your backstory on how you got to where you were, or where you are, I should say. God, you talk.
Yeah, well, kind of. It started literally when I was like 6 years old, and I used to have friends of my parents come over and their children. I would kind of like make up these little movies and tell them what to do, but I didn't really know that was a thing or what I was doing. It was just fun, and didn't really think much about it. And 30 years ago, I was a drama major in Nassau Community College and realized I would need to pay bills and possibly eat one day, so I went into business and got out of that. And then 30 years ago, I got dragged back in when I was working for the county as a special assistant and was really kind of bored writing speeches and press releases and whatnot. And so I started looking at what all the other departments did. And there was a department called Commerce and Industry. And I'm like, all right, well, I got a business management degree from Hofstra, and let me find out what they do. And one of the things they did was they do like 2 or 3 film permits a year. And I said, what is this? I want to know about this. And so I looked into it. I started making some phone calls because we didn't have computers back then, and spoke to a friend of mine, someone who became a friend, who was running the governor's film office. And I said, why doesn't Nassau have this? So I put together a proposal, went to the county executive. He basically, had to phrase it in such a way as, I can get you really great publicity if you let me do this. And, that kind of appealed to him, and, of course, the money that could be brought in. And I started the Nassau County Film Commission back then, 30 years ago, which I still run today. And then 20 years ago, I co-founded the Long Island International Film Expo, also known as LIFE, LIIFE, with Ann and Henry Stampfel. And we are now going into our 21st year this coming July. And then about 6 years ago, I was approached by a director who wanted to potentially hire some celebrity friends that I had. And I read his script because I don't really like to do that. It's a great way to lose a friend if you keep dumping stuff on them. So I read the script and I said, this isn't who you want. This is not good for that actor. And he asked me why, and I gave him my reasons. He said, well, who do you have in mind? So I pulled up a reel of a couple of other people I know. I said, could you get these people? I said, well, I can ask. And, that I asked, and we got a couple more people for him, and he asked me if I'd be his casting director. So I ended up becoming a producer because I did so much for the film. But I was never going to do that again. That was exhausting, just like the film festival, Cindy. It was exhausting. I said, I'm never doing that again. And then in 3 weeks, I got a feature script for somebody. Christine Vertugian from Living with the Dead contacted me to cast and produce her feature. And I ended up doing that. And then my phone hasn't stopped. So I was casting and producing for other people for probably about a year, and then I had written a short film called The Last Taxi Driver, which stars Robert Flaherty from Blue Bloods and Deb Twist from Kick-Ass and Emily Jackson from Incarnate. And when I first was putting it together, I was saying, well, who's going to direct this? And my friend Nugent, who came on as a producer, said, well, you are. I said, well, I don't know how to do that. He goes, well, how'd you do everything else you didn't know how to do before? And I went, well, yeah. And I ended up doing it kind of as an exercise to see why directors are crazy, and now I know. And what I didn't know is I'd want to do it again and again and again. And I don't know. I think I've directed about 7 movies so far and written 5 of them. I've written several feature-length scripts for other producers and directed for other producers. And it's kind of like, I don't know if you want to call it an obsession or an addiction, but, I love it. So I run the film office during the day and in the nighttime and on weekends and vacations when everybody else is sleeping or vacationing, I'm making movies. So it's kind of my life, every end of it at that point.
Wow. Oh, my God. To the actors on this interview, I just want to ask you, does she talk this fast, like when she directs you too? Like literally? Because she just crammed a whole lot in right there. Just saying.
Yeah, it's funny because she does talk that fast, and it's all, there's so much information. However, it's so calm. Like when you're on set with Debra, it's completely, right? I mean, it's just completely calm. and she's like the perfect actor's director. It's just such an amazing experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that what's great is that she creates a set where you feel safe and you feel free to be creative and to train wreck even.
Oh my God.
You feel safe enough to make mistakes, which is a great place to be.
Yeah, you feel like you don't need to have any sort of net for yourself because Debra's right there, and she's got you, and she sees everything and more. So it's great. It's really great. Yeah.
Very nice. Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to switch over to Jennifer, obviously, because we want to talk about your backstory because, oh, my gosh, so much excitement. And before you start, I just want to tell you I had a Mother of the Week moment. I was actually saying the name Jennifer Jiles in my car this morning because I had road rage once again driving my children to school, and they had a student driver on the road. And all I could think of was I was literally throwing, spear-like little objects at them. Like, why do they allow student drivers on here when I have a manic mom who's opposed to traffic? And I'm totally having this Jennifer moment. And I'm like, oh, my God, I've become the Mother of the Week. I just had to throw it out there. I'm better now, though.
Great.
I mean, I'm gone now, and everything is wonderful. But
yeah, there are so many of those every day, right? It's a matter
literally
of writing them down quick enough for me.
Exactly. And putting it all down. It's like a living, breathing, every single day sort of thing, even with the older kids, too, because I have two younger, two older, so there's always something that's happening, obviously. But there was my little Mother of the Week moment. There you go. Okay, so Jennifer, tell us your background. Tell us where you came from.
I originally from Poughkeepsie, New York, the butt of every joke in every film. I was a dancer growing up. I was a ballet dancer, and then my parents made me go to college because they're both professionals in other fields. And so I went to SUNY Purchase for dance, and they didn't realize, my mother didn't realize till 10 years out of school that I never took English, but that's okay. And then I did take a lot of dance lessons. And then I moved to New York, and after a few years of dancing professionally in modern companies and small ballet companies and American Dance Machine, I auditioned for the Rockettes, and I was a Radio City Rockette for 6 years, 4 years at the Music Hall. And then when I got out, I started doing comedy, and I wrote and performed a one-woman show called Kicking and Screaming the Musical, which is about being a Rockette. And that I played 21 different characters. And then I started getting a little bit into TV. I hosted a kids show on television on Sports Channel for the New York Mets. So I was the Mets girl for a few years, 4 years actually, and was lucky enough to win an Emmy for that, which was great. And I was doing a lot of comedy writing, like sketch, and a little bit of stand-up. I was at Gotham Comedy Club for 4 years. I had my own night, Monday nights, which was great. And doing theater, other people's theater, and then I just got into film. You mentioned Mother of the Week moments. I had a film that in 2014 we filmed it in 2014 about it's about it makes me I'm thinking of all the mother things now. Anyway, like those freaking socks that they can't just undo. You can't put the socks like right side out before you throw them into the laundry, right? Ugh. Anyway, that's just been on my mind. But I wrote a short film called Mother of the Week, and then I was lucky enough to get that into festivals. We did festivals for about 15 months, and Fred Straupel was my co-writer. He was the head writer for my sketch group when we were at Gotham Comedy Club as well. So I've known him for a long time. And so Mother of the Week, we did a lot of festivals, and I kept meeting Debra, actually. And we screened in the same blocks, and then we were doing talkbacks, and then we started winning awards together. And then one day I finally just said, yeah, I was like, come on, we should work together. And she's like, yeah, okay. So this is how we ended up doing the waiting room. Yeah, and then I've done a couple other films with Debra, luckily, and and then started like doing, all the networking you do at film festivals, which is it's such a great place to network. I think I've done 3 other films of other directors this year, and have another one coming up in November to shoot. And I do a lot of commercials. I think that's really what pays my film career, my indie film career bills. Commercials.
Right. We're going to get into that, as a matter of fact. We are. Okay. But I want to get to the young man who's patiently waiting to talk about his past. But I have to ask you a question about the Phantom of the Opera, because if I don't, my son Kerwin will kill me. I promised that I would ask you right off the bat. Actually, there's one question for you, then one quick question for Debra, and then we'll go back to you. So here's the question, because ironically, he said, Mom, I want you to listen to this song last night. He plays the clarinet. Ironically, they're playing Phantom of the Opera. And he's struggling. He's frustrated. He's like, Mom, this is too complicated. It's like 4 minutes and 40 seconds. And he's like, I know that he's a singer, but can you just ask him how I could play better? And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't know what he's going to say. I'm like, that he played this character and he sings. And he's like, well, yeah, but that's still Phantom of the Opera. I mean, he's right. I get it. So my kiddo's kind of stuck here. So I'm sure you'll have the magic answer. And here he goes.
Oh, boy. Magic answer for that. How old is he?
He's almost 13 years old. He's been playing for about 2 years now.
Yeah. Gosh, I have no answer. Useless.
Wonderful.
Other than repetition.
Now I'm going to have to tell my kid this. Yeah, I did the show, and he had no answer whatsoever. I'm wondering if maybe I should just have – I wonder if it would help him, because even though he's 12 years old, to watch it. He's never seen the production, and I wonder maybe if he just watched it and listened to the music and saw it, he might have a better like a comprehension of it, and maybe that'll help him play better. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm kind of grasping at straws, too. But I figured since you've done the production, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, I do. I mean, I guess it comes down to that, usual kid thing. How often is he practicing? And is he practicing slowly enough so that he's not starting and stopping and creating those habits in the playing?
Sure.
That then become harder to break.
That's it. I got it. I can put something together between those words and my words. We'll put it together. And Debra, so Debra, I have to ask you this, because this was a Kerwin question too, because I said they've all seen the movie, by the way. My son is 12 and then my other son is 10. And so I told Debra the reaction, which was they thought it was totally cool. But then Kerwin came up with this question when I said, I'm going to interview all of them tomorrow. So his question to you was, Debra, he said, I want to know where it was filmed, not the state and the city, but he's like, were they in a warehouse? Were they in a conference room? So he wants to know where your set was.
A private home. A friend of mine, who's a production designer, basically put up, I think it was 4 faux walls. I think she put every wall in there and basically hung up some of her own paintings and made some squiggly lines where need be, and just basically put it together with, almost, just sweat and staples, and, we filmed right in a private home.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, because he was really specific about it. I'm like, honey, I'm sure it was in New York. And he's like, I know it's in New York, Mom. Now ask her where it was. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll ask him. Whatever. If I pick these kids up from school, we'll have another Mother of the Week award, because it'll be silenced on the way home. Mom, I asked you to ask one question on that interview. So thank you for helping me, both of you. Okay, young man, back to you. Obviously, you clearly have not had 20 years in the business yourself. So talk about your interesting backstory, because I think your roots are fascinating, because I love my musicians, of course, as much as I do my filmmakers. But let's talk a bit about your past and how you ended up crossing paths with Debra.
All I don't know how I got here, to be honest. I started out as an engineering major in college and took an acting class on a whim to meet girls in New York, and fell in love with acting. And I had been singing in high school and college in a classic rock heavy metal band. But once I started pursuing acting, I completely stopped singing altogether. And I ran into some people at the Irish Rep in New York, and they were doing a production of a show called Grandchild of Kings, which was written by and directed by Hal Prince, who directed Phantom. And so they asked me to do that show, and that's how I met Hal, and he asked me if I sang, and I said not really, a little, but they ended up throwing some songs into the show, and next thing I know, he's sending me up to the Majestic to see Phantom, and offering me the role of Raoul. And at first I went into Les Mis on Broadway, and then played Raoul for 2.5 years, and then the Phantom for 2.5 years. And then I got out of the business completely because my kids were at an age where I felt like I was missing too much of their growing up. And so I completely walked away. And I guess I started going back to it about 4 or 5 years ago, and took some acting classes, and someone in one of my acting classes told me about a guy named Jay Goldenberg, who was a big TV and film coach. So I took a class with him, and next to him was a gentleman teaching some acting classes, and he was also running some workshops for casting directors and filmmakers, and Debra happened to be one of them. And,
I didn't know this story. This is cool.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
And
I didn't either.
She threw a scene at me, and about a woman who's crossed over but still hasn't really left her family yet to move on. And I had 2 friends in this class, and of course when they heard what the scene was about, they of course laughed very loudly because they know I'm very good friends with a guy named James Van Praagh, who's a world famous medium, and so they got a kick out of that. And then I let Debra know I was friendly with James, and Debra's interested in that part of spirituality, and so we've been pals since, and she's been a great friend and supporter, and so I've been in five films this year because of her.
Gotcha. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I love that story. That's so cool. Yes, it is.
Cindy, you know the movie too, Leaving. I had him read the scene from Leaving. And
I was just going to say
love
that.
movie.
Damn it.
Yes,
I do. I still love it. Not that I don't love The Waiting Room. I totally love The Waiting Room, but I'm here to tell you, I was just going to ask you about that, meaning that was Leaving kind of a segue to you, meaning when you wrote Leaving, did you know that Waiting Room was going to come thereafter?
No. When I wrote Leaving, you mean?
Yeah.
That I knew Waiting Room was good? No, I had no idea I was even going to do that. I mean, with just to elaborate on the story with Ciaran also is when he came in, he's the only person who I had assigned those signs to. I hadn't assigned them to anyone else, and he didn't know what it was about. And he hadn't seen the movie because it hadn't even premiered yet. And he comes in, and he reads it so spot on as if I had just directed him, and he knew everything about it. And I remember saying to him, do you even know what this is about? And he kind of had an idea, but he didn't have the correct idea. And so I told him what it was about, and I directed him, and he was incredibly directable because I had him read it as it should have been. And then I said, okay, now you're really angry. And so he read the husband as this really, abusive husband. I'm like, oh, my God, this guy's really good. So I invited him to come see it screen at Life, Long Island National Film Expo, and he invited me to go see James Van Praagh, and I guess we've just kind of been hanging out since, So it's it's interesting.
I'm surprised.
But as far as Waiting Room,
I'm just surprised that Leaving, when you were doing Leaving, I almost thought it was a segue to this one because they're parallel to some degrees. And I know sometimes you already have 75 other ideas in your head, like I've done this, now there's 25 more, etc.
No, what happened was I actually did have a treatment. When I was writing this, I had found another treatment I wrote for a movie called The Waiting Room, but it was very different than this. It was a complete comedy. It's about who gets to come back as what and why, and oh great, she gets the guy this time, and it's just this whole thing that happens. But that's not what I ended up writing. Jennifer had contacted me to ask me if I would direct a film challenge for her, for the AGR Artist Group, and I said I would consider it. What has to be done? What is it about? And she said, well, I have these 3 actors. She had Justin Wilson and and herself, and I know somebody else that had to drop out. And I said, well, if I can bring in 2 of my friends, then I'll do it. And what I kind of did was, I took all the actors at this point, which was Jennifer and Ciaran and Heather Britton O'Scanlan and Noel Uturo and Justin Wilson, and I just kind of was looking at them all and who would they be to each other. And the funny thing is, originally we were thinking Justin for the husband, but then once Ciaran came, going, yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. But I just looked at them all, and the story just came to me. And after I wrote it, John, who you call Buddha, John just turned around and said, you do realize you just wrote Leaving Part 2, right? And I hadn't intended to do that, but apparently I did. But I think that's just kind of like the vein of what my work is, the majority of it. It's I don't have a genre, but I kind of always go back to that.
Sure. No, I get you. I do. I have a question for Ciaran, because I forgot to ask you this before when we were talking about this, because I think it's fascinating that you're from Dublin, Ireland, because I'm Scottish, so I'm not Irish, but I think we're kind of close in that. So first of all, I'm wondering why a guy would ever leave Ireland to come to New York, because, oh, my God, that has to be more beautiful than life itself. And second of all, you don't sound like an Irish person. Does that make me sound stupid when I say that?
It depends on who I'm with.
Oh, okay.
It depends on who I'm with. If I'm with people from home, then the accent starts to come out thicker. Or if I've had a few jars, or if I lose my temper.
Oh my God! So don't make him mad and give him alcohol, and he'll sound different. I totally get it now. Completely understand. I got you. Yeah, because you just sound normal like the rest of us. So I guess I'm a little taken aback. I was expecting like that thicker. You know what I'm saying? You know how Irish people they just have that thick sounding. It's kind of appealing, I think, or attractive when a man has an accent. Not that there's anything wrong with that whatsoever. I was just being curious, absolutely curious.
Yeah.
Okay, Jennifer, I have a question for you. Actually, it's for both actors here, to tell you the truth, because obviously I know that Debra has taught at the Conservatory of Dramatic Arts. So it begged me to ask the question, because you guys are both huge on the talent spectrum. Have either one of you either wanted to teach or have taught? Because I couldn't find anything in my research that told me that you have before.
I taught acting?
Or anything in general.
Anything in
whether
general.
It's acting, singing, or otherwise.
Yeah, well, I did when I moved up to the suburbs, and I was when I was about 9 months pregnant with my second kid, because I was so bored in the suburbs, I decided I would have another kid of New York. I taught adult beginner ballet. And then I taught adult beginner tap and things like that. I love teaching adults. It's fun because they actually, when you say something, they're actually listening to you. But when you're teaching kids, I always find that they sort of are just running around. But now, actually, I am teaching acting for kids. I mean, I've always been coaching. Kids, like for the past couple of years, I've been coaching kids in acting as someone who's, currently has working in the business. And, helping them to get into the business as well. Since we're so close to New York, there's a lot of kids up here that want to do that. But I just started teaching an acting class, or 2 acting classes on Mondays, just in the afternoon, which are fun. So that's for kids.
Gotcha. No, I understand.
Yeah.
And also, I was just wondering if I could learn how to either get your legs or borrow them, because, good Lord, I don't know if you've ever seen this woman. You got legs till the day is long, and I'm like, I love you, but I hate you. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how do you get that? Can you just tell me how I can get that? Because I'm getting old and I'm getting short, and I need some kind of activity. So I was just wondering, how do you work on that whole thing?
Well, actually, you can, elongate your whole body by taking ballet. That was my,
Seriously?
that was, yep. Yep, you really can. I mean, you can get rid of those field hockey quads by doing some turned out lengthening, stretching and dancing. I mean, I can't say that that's how I got my legs. I got my legs because my mom and dad got together and both of them had legs in their family like that. But but yeah, certainly. And there's like bar workouts and things like that. So
that's really cool. I like that. Pole dancing, I hear, works well too, but I don't have that sex thing going, so I don't think the pole dancing's going to happen. But okay.
Well, Ciaran.
Okay, Ciaran, you're up.
Yeah.
Now, Ciaran, I could totally see you teaching because I know we're going to talk about the voice healing at some point because I know about that. But I mean, have you done teaching like relative? Because I know you're a tenor, so I was guessing maybe musical lessons or any kind of acting lessons. Have you done anything from the teaching realm or perspective, or will you do that at some point?
Yeah, I've done some voice lessons. And I enjoy coaching, acting coaching. I don't know that I have the patience or the organizational skills to teach a class, but I do enjoy coaching a lot, one-on-one. That's a lot of fun for me. And then sort of segueing into where you were going a little bit. I've done a lot of workshops for people who have been sexually abused and trying to use my voice and in a sort of spiritual approach to that. So that's been very rewarding.
I imagine so, definitely. And by the way, I think you should do radio, or I think you should portray a serial killer. I just figured that out while I was listening to you because your voice is so deep and serene like this that people will listen, or you will kill me, one or the other. Just a little observation. In the last 10 minutes I've gotten to know you so far, I'm just going to throw out maybe potential career options. Cases.
Are you hearing this,
everything doesn't work out. I'm just saying. I mean, serial killer, maybe like a Jason, Freddy, Michael, I don't know. He's just got that, doesn't he, though? Like, seriously? Like, I would not want to make you angry because you'd probably talk me to death. Like, literally, he would have that tone where he wouldn't even have to raise his voice, and I'd be petrified and run. Literally. Like, just think about it. That's all I'm going to say. Next time you see him, just think about that, okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, I already
Now, back to you, Debra.
Those eyes. Oh, my God.
I know,
eyes,
right?
Yeah.
But, I haven't seen him be evil yet, so that's a good thing. Now,
well, I
obviously,
I did get to kill Jen, so that was, something.
That's right. You did kill me. Yep.
Yeah.
Or kill me.
It's another movie.
Really?
We can't mention the name.
Oh,
otherwise
God.
you
We can't mention that. Yeah,
anyway.
right. Because we can't go.
Right. It's too late.
So back to the guru herself. Now, I know obviously you've mentioned that you taught at the New York Conservatory of Dramatic Arts, but because I know that your life is so full and enriched with all sorts of things now, I mean, how often do you get a chance to do the teaching, and do you miss that part? Because I know I get crabby when I don't teach often. So, I mean, do you still get to do that often enough?
I do it once or twice a year. I don't really have a lot of time. I do enjoy the heck out of it, and one of the reasons is because I get to meet great talent, and because I do casting for other people, and of course my own. If there's people, even if they don't get hired for the role when I'm doing regular casting, I'll make note of them and, I'll use them for something else when the appropriate role comes along. And sometimes if I'm writing a piece and I'm kind of deciding on another character I need, I might draw right off of somebody that, I want to use that guy, or I want to use that, that woman, and therefore I'll write a role kind of around them, even if it's a small one, just to be able to start working with them. But the other thing I do is for a couple of months a year, I also am one of the incoming drama judges, for the potential students at LaGuardia Arts, which is a famed school in the city. And, so I do that for a couple of months, which is amazing because, sometimes you see these incredible kids come in. And last year when we did it, one of the kids that came in was actually one of the leads in Finding Neverland? You got the name of it?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And we're like, this kid is really good. And, he's amazing. We're all looking at each other, and you're not allowed to really say anything when they're there. You just have to be pretty objective. And he kind of walked out, and we're all jumping up and high-fiving, and he walks back in because they got something. We're all sitting down like, nothing. We didn't do anything. You didn't see anything here. And then he walked out, and we looked at his resume and said, okay, this kid's already working on Broadway, And while he came in, we said, okay, so one of the questions is, if we accept you, are you going to be able to meet the demands of the school? And he said, absolutely. He said, my education's got to come first. It's like, okay, just got to make sure. But so I love because I just love finding talent. I mean, I wish there was something I could do that was just finding talent, which I guess is casting, when you're trying to recommend people.
Sure.
And I'm kind of the person people call for especially independent stuff when they have absolutely no time. And because I have that list, I got called to do a commercial last year, and nice amount of money. I had 3 days to find, this lead for this commercial, and I brought in all these people who I knew were all phenomenal. And they really had a hard time trying to pick who it is. I'm like, how do you do that? I said, because I remember them all. It's like I'm so happy when I can call somebody in for something. So that worked out really well. And I love actors that are really versatile. Because then you can recommend them for a lot of things. So that's one of the best parts is that I really love placing talent or finding talent. I don't think I have the energy to be a talent agent because they have I'm like, I could do this. And then I find out, they have 350 clients. I'm like, yeah, no. How much can you do for anybody, That's almost impossible.
Well, no. I do.
Yeah, but I do like to do it. Yeah. Once or twice a year is pretty much about all I can handle.
I'm telling you, I swear to God, Debra's the only friend that I know that I have that talks as much as I do. I'm so happy. This is one of the reasons I wanted to do it, because I wanted to see if I could out-talk her. Could I literally out-talk her on my own show? And I can't believe you just swore on my show. Damn it. Oh, sorry. That is allowed, by the way. When it's my show, I can say those sorts of things. So back to the actors, because I don't think Debra has experience in this. But since we are talking, of course, about using your narrative and using your voice, obviously, I know, Jennifer, you have actually narrated audiobooks, I should say, fantasy and children's and youth. And obviously on the flip side, of course, Ciaran, you obviously do music. So both of that requires, I'm going to guess, some form of melodious maintenance is what I call it, meaning are you guys careful to do certain amounts of practice before you perform? How often are you doing it? Obviously, I imagine, Jennifer, you're not using your voice as often per se for that purpose as Ciaran is. But talk to us a little bit about in terms of maintenance and one of the perks of doing voice work versus doing acting per se.
Who do you want first?
Let's do Ciaran first.
Okay.
Well, I take voice lessons. I try every week at least. Usually every week I take a voice lesson. I also do a fair amount of physical work like Alexander technique and yoga. I find yoga incredibly helpful with my voice. So I'm usually singing a bit every day. Try and keep things going because I do a fair amount of concert work as well. I'm part of a group called the Four Phantoms in Concert. And,
right.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm curious.
So got to keep it in gear.
Well, and that's the other thing, too, is, somebody told me once, it's not just a tea thing. They used to say, big-time performance before they do a performance, they drink tea or whatever have you. Some of the people that I speak to actually have curtailed their diet specifically to kind of maybe be ginger with their throats, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Do you ever find that you just get really sore or raw or whatever have you? Because we all age. I don't know enough about music, but I would just ascertain that with everything in life, it requires more maintenance as we age a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the reason for that is, as we age, we keep accumulating. When you're younger, you could feed a kid a cardboard box and they'll be, they'll manage you. You do that to somebody who's already challenged their body for 50 years or 40 years or 60 years.
Right.
It's not going to break down so well. So I think it's more about cumulative than actually getting older. But I am careful about, for the most part. Sometimes, at 2 a.m., I don't know how the car does it, but sometimes it just pulls into McDonald's and suddenly there's a double quarter pound of cheese.
It loses the shatter.
Yeah.
That is horrible food.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll throw back a cheeseburger at the end of the night. I've seen that.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
And fries.
All right.
For the most part, I try to stay clean,
Right.
No, I do.
Yeah, I think if I'm doing an audiobook, that's like hours and hours of recording. So, and it's usually all day for a couple days. So you really have to be. I know, it's crazy. It's a little bit like torture, but it's also fun. It's also fun because you get to play all the different characters. And you have like a little break. I'd say every hour you get up and stretch and you just have to drink a ton of water. You have to stay really, really hydrated. Stay away from like phlegmy things like milk and milk products. And then there's like a trick to keeping your mouth moisturized. I don't know if that's the right word, but you can just suck on keep like an apple, apple slices while you're recording, and you just sort of, when you have a little break, you just, suck on some apple. Green apple is great. That's like a good trick. So.
Really?
Yeah. I know. Who
I'm
knew,
just listening
right?
to this. It just sounds so sensual talking about an audiobook. Who would have ever known? Sorry.
Well,
I don't know where that came from. I really don't. I honestly don't know where that came from. Okay. So, no, I was curious to ask about that just because I know it's one of the side things you like to do. And I'm like, that's really cool. Okay. Now I have a super fun question. We always have to ask this celebrity question on the show because luckily today all three of you have either worked with or met or done something for a celebrity. Meaning, for instance, Jennifer, I know you've done work with Carl Reiner and Tim Conway in the past. And oh my God, I didn't even know this about Ciaran, that he performed for Beau Biden and of course at the Kennedy services, which is amazing. Debra has met some of my favorite people in the entire, like literally in the entire world. I can't even tell you. So for each one of you, just tell me when you were actually celebrity starstruck, because I know after a while everybody kind of gets used to seeing or meeting people or whatever, but give me one example of somebody where you were just like in shock, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm standing next to them. You know what I'm saying?
Good question, because most of the people I've met I thought I would have been starstruck over were just really nice people. Like Linda Hamilton is just extremely cool. Anthony Hopkins is amazing.
God.
Yeah, but really easy to
jealous.
talk to and just hilarious and refused to sit in his trailer to eat. He had to sit with the crew and was fighting with me because he wanted me to eat Chilean sea bass, and I told him I don't eat fish, and he kept telling me how much it cost. And that I should just eat it because it was free. And I mean, just lovely person. So I mean, the only person that I haven't met that I really would love to would be like Robert Downey Jr., but otherwise Anthony Hopkins is one of my top people.
Oh, Iron Man is awesome. I love him. Who doesn't love Robert Downey? I mean, he's such a success story in the best way, right?
Yep. Me too. Yeah.
But I would probably pass out and die. That wouldn't work well because I would probably or not talk. Oh, wait, that's Thor we're talking about. Yes, I have a Thor obsession. I don't get to meet half the people you do, so I live. Oh, my God. Have you ever looked at Thor, the real Thor? I mean, who doesn't have an obsession with Thor?
Oh, yeah.
I like Robert Downey Jr. better, I have to say.
Do. Oh, my God. What is it with you people? He's little. He's like 4 foot. He's cute.
Yeah, but
I'm not going to lie.
I've been watching him since I was, he's one of those, I didn't have a poster of him. I did have a poster of Scott Baio, though, growing up.
Oh!
But I think I've grown.
I will never forget that you just said that.
But I've grown out of that, but I didn't grow out of the Robert Downey Jr. thing.
Seriously?
I mean,
really?
Seriously, yeah. But I think I would have a heart attack and die, literally, if I met Barbra Streisand. That's my story.
Oh, I love her.
I always say that, like it's fun, and then sometimes it's not so fun to meet celebrities because then somebody not been nice to me, and I'm like, wait a minute, I just told you that every night when I was a kid I would sneak down and watch your show, like sneak downstairs at 10 o'clock, and. Why aren't you nice? That was really disappointing. I'm not going to tell you who that was. But
no, I know.
Yeah.
It's disappointing, and it's sad.
Yeah. Because didn't they ever feel that way? I know.
So, well, I think they forget. They become big, and then they're like, oh, I'm all big and all this stuff. And the ego comes in and media and all those good things. And, well, you know how that is.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling bad for Ciaran because there's a lot of estrogen on this phone right now. I'm really sorry. Because there's a lot of us women on this phone right now. So it's a little
no issue here.
No
okay.
issue.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot he's male. Okay, so that brings us to Ciaran. So who have you not met or worked with, or somebody that you ideally want to be in a room with, celebrity-wise?
Well, actually, I was thinking of your what I thought was your first question was if I ever met anyone that I was
starstruck.
Overwhelmed by.
Right.
Yeah. And over the course of years, I've gotten to work with and do some events and things with some really cool people, from Angela Lansbury to Rosemary Clooney and Liam Neeson. But the only time I think I've ever been totally gobsmacked, as we would say in Ireland, was when I met Phil Rizzuto, who was a shortstop for the Yankees in the 40s, 50s, and he was part of the television broadcast team in the 60s, 70s, into the 80s, and I had a pretty rough childhood, and my sort of escape from the world were Yankee games and listening to him. And the first time I met him, I was completely overwhelmed. I started to shake his hand. I started to cry, and he was like, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "You got me through my childhood." Other than that, I don't know that I've ever been overwhelmed by anyone. As Debra said, most of the time, just normal people going through life, trying to have a good time.
Well put. I like that. Well, I'm looking forward to meeting Ciaran, because I'll probably pass out and die because he scares me. I think I've said that 3 times now. I'm looking forward to meeting Michael Madsen. And, yes, I'm finally going to get to meet Michael Madsen. I'm so excited. I can't even stand it. So Michael Madsen's a big one. I'm really super excited. Joanna Cassidy, that's another one I'm super excited about. I always dread and love at the same time seeing Debra, because now I've come to discover that every time I'm going to see her, I'm going to cry. That's just kind of become a staple thing. So I'm kind of like, I'm getting myself kind of accustomed and used to it. So since we're talking about crying, I think it's fundamental. This question is huge, one of the biggest ones I'll ask you, and it's not meant to be offensive. There's a lot of creatives that listen to my show, and I have come to learn in 48 years, I think that some of the best art or some of the best creativity comes from chaos and trauma and tragedy. So I would like to ask each one of you how you have molded yourself into the magnificent selves you are now. Do you believe that in some ways that might be true, meaning that the more traumatic things are, or some of the things that you've lived through have made you bigger and better creatively? Would you concur with that?
Oh, without question. I wrote a poem once a long time ago, and I just remember one of the last lines was, "Without my scars, who would I be?" And without a question, that's where my writing comes from. Some of it's silly, but a lot of it's very heartbreaking and gut-wrenching, and probably one of the best compliments somebody can give me is if they had to put my book down and walk away, or pause the movie and come back because they just felt it, then I've done my job. If people cry, then I know I've touched them.
Right.
So what kind of transformed it for me was tons of yoga and meditation and walks and working out and therapy and, whatever it takes, But the thing is, I always worried about, what if you got rid of all of it? Would you still be as creative as you are? And I don't know if the answer is yes to that. I just don't I don't know.
Right.
And I'm afraid to find out. I don't think I have that problem, though.
Right. Yeah, I think you just draw from everything, right?
I was just going to say, literally every experience from childbirth to having kids and being in relationships and the whole 9 yards. Ciaran, I want to ask you a question, of course, if you don't mind sharing a little bit. I know that you had a very life-changing car accident at one point in your life. How has that kind of shaped you or molded you, or have you had a finer appreciation for life now since something like that happened to you?
I've tried, and I continue to try. I think the biggest thing that I that I became aware of during the accident was that our lives are so fast, and to waste the time, to waste the journey being angry and afraid is so tragic to me. And I realized at that point that that's what I had spent the first 20 years of my life doing, was being afraid and angry. And so, and since then I've been sort of, I guess, I've been on a constant spiritual quest and to find deeper meaning in life and joy in it. Trying to find the joy in life and fun. That's why I find it funny that you say I'm so scary, because I'm sure the other two would tell you, oh my God, he's such an Egypt.
I know they've told me that already. Debra was really like, I don't even know why you're worried. She's like, he's the nicest guy, and I'm like, have you looked at him? Like, literally. And now I'm hearing creepy serial killer voice on the phone. Yeah, I feel so much better about meeting you now. Said no one ever. I'm like, I'm going to watch Waiting Room about 17 times. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. Jim's a nice guy.
Well,
Jim's a
listen,
nice guy.
Cindy, his when you meet Ciaran, his looks are breathtaking. Like,
oh, stop.
Breathtaking. It is. It's true.
Is he hot looking too? Oh my God!
Crazy,
really, with the
crazy good looking. Yeah,
great.
like one of those guys that
Lovely.
you get nervous, right? But then when you start to get to know him, he lets you touch his biceps, and then, or in Debra's case, yeah, like she just touches it no matter what.
Did you hear that?
Then
She just touches it. I'm not sure we should say that
no,
on
no,
the
no.
radio.
His bicep.
Like
his bicep.
that.
His bicep.
Sorry, Buddha. I'm really sorry, Buddha. I didn't do it.
Oh, he was there. Come on.
Oh, okay. Now the husband's participating. I don't even want to know what goes on in the set anymore. I just don't even want to know.
No,
but,
he's
okay.
but again, the sweetest, most approachable.
That's what I'm hearing.
I got your back. Cries at the drop of a hat.
All right.
Well, time will tell, folks. We'll find out when we see each other in person. Now, Jennifer, that means that either you're the normal one out of all the three of you, meaning that you've had a life that's been somewhat joyous, et cetera, et cetera. But I was thinking to myself the other day, because I've only met you once, and I thought to myself, I wonder if she uses all of this comedy as a means, like sometimes actors will do comedic things and such, kind of as a downplay against kind of like the real world sort of thing or whatever. Or I mean, have you come from a relatively happy place in life and everything's just been copacetic and lovely?
Wow. Yeah, I can just, if I doubt anybody in my family's listening, but they're all laughing. They'd be laughing if they heard this. Yeah, no, there were a lot of horrible, sucky things that happened in my life.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I had this stepmother that was just the worst. And I had breast cancer, which wasn't really the worst. It was like a nice little wake-up call, and it was not a huge, cancer. An abusive boyfriend, a couple of, molestations, I think the stuff that we've all had, unfortunately. Nothing, not a Boy Scout leader or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like nothing typical, but, so there have been a lot of stuff. And it's funny, when I did my one-woman show, it started out as like a 45-minute comedy pretty much, and and also find out behind the scenes with all these different characters of what it was like at Radio City. But then I started adding in my family stuff, like a little bit here, a little bit there, and it really and the abusive boyfriend got into that show too. And it really that's when, like what Debra was saying, is that's really when people start to really relate to you. When you show them, your most vulnerable moments. Because everybody has, as my brother came to see, I know he's not listening, by the way, but my brother came, I can say anything I want about him right now. No, my brother came to see my one-woman show the first time that it was in a big theater, and he said, yeah, it was good, but I don't know why you're airing all that dirty laundry, and so it's, it's not easy to look at when it's your family, I guess, but I think that, when you go from, one scene where they're laughing and then you kind of just punch them in the gut with like a scene that, is not funny at all. I think it's kind of a moving, theatrical experience, which is why we write and why we act.
Right. Well, I changed the names and the professions. I changed the names and the professions, and but they're all
other things. Yes, I understand. I do actually. Ciaran, I forgot to ask you that question because I know obviously that Jennifer and Debra have both written before. Have you done anything in the writing world, meaning film, plays, theater, anything, poetry? I would have pegged you for poetry.
Check.
Really?
No, nothing really. I am starting a book though.
Really?
Yeah.
Can we get a little teaser? Yeah. Can you tell us anything that's going to be in it? Anyone? Anything? Anything at all?
It's a little bit. I'd say a lot of it is about surviving sexual abuse.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wait for that one. I'm excited to hear this. Writing is very therapeutic. Debra tells me that all the time. I try to get to it. As a matter of fact, just so you folks know, this is a huge bragging rights for you. Out of all the Q&A panels I wrote, yours was the best and the most enjoyed by the writer herself. I'm not going to lie about that. I was like literally, because I had to write 16 Q&A panels, and I'm like, the waiting room was the best one. It has the most intriguing fun. That's why the interview is going to suck today. Just kidding. No, meaning that there's some great questions on there, I have to say. Okay, we want to talk about this because this is very important. I say this all the time. You are only as good as what surrounds you. I am only as good as what surrounds me, like the talent on my show today, for instance. However, some of you at least, I believe all three of you are fortunate enough to have great support systems and people that love you. So, for instance, we'll start with Debra because I'm very partial to Buddha. Talk to me a bit, and then the two of you as well. Tell me a bit about how your personal lives mesh with your professional lives, meaning how does it make you a better, stronger person in the professional realm, having that personal support? What does that bring to the table for you?
Well, John makes sure, first of all, that I can find my way in the door because I kind of get lost walking around a lot. So that's been a huge help with all the film festivals. But he also understands what I do, and when I'm really writing something very dramatic, he knows to pretty much leave me alone when he comes near me and I glare at him. But, so I just kind of stand at the door and throw chocolate at me and, let me do what I have to do when I have to do it. So he's been tremendously supportive, and also on set, even as an AD, he was my AD during waiting room, and I never had to worry about anything. I mean, we had one day to shoot, we had to get this done, and I don't know, guys, what was it, like 12 hours? And, I knew that everything would run smoothly, and then, of course, I had the rest of the team, but, he's just always there, He's like kind of a big teddy bear with an attitude. He doesn't frighten me, but most people kind of, cringe. But I always feel taken care of. I always know that he has my best interest at heart. And I've had 3 other marriages, which not one of them could even go anywhere near that description. I'm really lucky. And then I've got, a few friends, a handful that I know believe in what I do, and, when I'm cringing in the corner, curled up in a fetal position that I suck and everything I do is terrible, and, they kind of talk me out of it, so that's real helpful. And luckily I've gotten to a point where my parents and my daughter and my brother say, yay, so that's a nice change.
Well, you betcha.
Yeah, so I'm thankful.
To the actors, I want to ask you guys this question. I don't know if you've noticed this. You've seen the two of them together, right? She's like a kid in a candy store. It's the cutest little thing because I see her blush around him, and I see her get all shy. And you would think they just went on their honeymoon yesterday. Am I mistaken here, right? It's that glow.
I totally.
He brings the glow to her. Big time.
Yep.
Big time.
Yep.
Thank you, Buddha. Thank you, Buddha. I can't thank you enough. Buddha's wonderful. He is. But enough about Buddha. Okay, Jennifer, you're up. Talk about that wonderful family. Or should I just wait for the next Mother of the Week? Just kidding.
I know, right? No, it's funny. My husband has turned into like a caricature in my Mother of the Week moments. But he is very supportive. And actually his last birthday card to me, which is the first time he's ever done this, was just really talking about how hard I'm working in my career, as opposed to, what a great mom and what a great wife. And, he was just congratulating me on my stuff that I do, which is really nice. So he's very supportive. He's sort of waiting for me to make a ton of money so he can quit his job. But we have a great life. We have a house in the woods, and I have two kids. One just walked in my office, and I have a little note that says I'm on a radio show now, and he went, "Oh," silently, and kissed me and went upstairs. Yeah, so I have a 9 and 12-year-old boys, and a cute dog, and my mom and my sister are really supportive, and I have tons of great friends, and I think that's, and my family is like, Debra and Ciaran and, whoever I'm, when you're in the trenches with everybody, they become your family. It's so nice. I love this business so much.
It's so nice. It truly is, actually. And I meant to ask you, Jennifer, if your husband does exist, because I've never seen him. I don't think I've seen him on Facebook.
I don't put.
Person.
Yeah.
You keep him somewhere?
Well,
we don't know
he's blown up and he's in the closet.
Wondering.
No, he's sorry. He's pretty shy, so I don't really put him online at all. And I don't put my kids online because when I hosted that kids show, I swore I wouldn't, because I used to get fan mail that was kind of gross. Like they were like, sports fans that were like, it's not really just a baseball show for kids, that kind of stuff. And so I was like, ew. So I never want to put my kids anywhere. Right. Like when they get older, they can do it themselves. So that's why they're not up there. But,
I understand.
If you PM me, I'll send you a picture of my kids. I'll show you on the phone.
I just want to make sure he existed, like literally, if he's not somewhere in the middle of nowhere, like you abducted him somehow or something like that. We just wanted to make sure of that, definitely. So now we get to talk to Mr. Hunk, apparently, with the biceps, triceps. We get to Ciaran here. So we want to talk about the personal side of yourself, and I especially want to talk about, it seems as though you're very heavily influenced by your grandmother. So in addition to your personal life, I just wanted to touch upon her because it seems as though she's been a very positive light on your life.
She was when I was I was born in Dublin, but came here when I was 1. When I was 4, my parents sent me back to Ireland to live with my grandmother, and so we were very close. And she was like a second mother to me, and we were very close right up until when she died in 1990, and I still, if you buy into any of the, spiritual mediumship stuff, and I do, I get visits from her and friends who are mediums. They pass along messages, and so that's lovely to sort of maintain that connection with her. And she is very very dear to me.
Nice, very nice. And does that mean you're a father, et cetera, et cetera? I don't want to pry too hard.
I have my wife. I met her in Phantom. She was the dance captain. She had had a pretty successful career as a ballet dancer with New York City Ballet, and did a number of Broadway shows and was on the Tonys, but she has a dance studio now, not too far from our home, and 2 of the 3 kids are still in the house. The oldest one is living in Philadelphia now. Graduated college last year, and Yeah, and the two younger ones, the middle one is a dancer, and she's in and out of the city. And actually, Debra was kind enough to throw her a bone and give her a few lines in a film we did recently. And
nice.
Yeah, and then the younger guy, I just can't keep him out of the theater. Although he says he wants to be a child psychologist, so we'll see where the road takes him.
Very, very nice. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever find that, because I say this 75 times a day, like you're losing your mind because you can't juggle your work and your home and your stuff, and you're like, I'm 1 minute away from a heart attack? Or you always have it together 24/7?
Not anymore. No, you know, the great thing is, because I don't have little kids anymore and there's no grandchildren, right. And, you know, my daughter moved to Florida, so pretty much, and she was self-sustaining even when she was here, but pretty much, maybe it's really boring, but I work a lot, like almost all the time, which right. I think you know that. But we have to make we have to make time to do nothing. You know, like even just we went to AC Cinefest this weekend and for the waiting room, and we decided not to go to the festival the first day. We were just going to like hang out in the the hotel. And I was like, okay, I don't have my laptop. I can't write anything. I can't schedule anything. I can't.
Oh,
okay,
no.
Yeah, I know. It's like, okay, maybe let's watch a movie. Let's start with a movie. You know, it's just, you know, that's probably a bad habit, but we do try to at least once a year go away, even if it's only 2 or 3 days. And I need that, or I will probably work myself, you know, into a coma, and gladly. But that's not necessarily the best thing to do. So,
no. Or you could just open up this. You could just read this thing called the Karmic Wind Trilogy books. I don't know if you've ever heard of them before. They're a little steamy, okay? If you feel that you need to find something to do, just open that up, because I'm here to tell you. Have you guys read her book? I mean, it gets a little crazy in those books. I'm not going to lie about that. I mean, I don't blush often, but hello. I was just curious if you make your actors read your book.
I am actually going to turn those into screenplays one day, but just, you know, just working on the project one by one. I have a list of them. No,
it just never ends with her.
I know how short life is. Yeah, so exactly. I want to get as many stories out there while I can.
Well, that brings us to waiting room, obviously. So my first question goes to the actors, which is this. I might be alone in my way of thinking, but I think at some point in time, Debra Markowitz should be made to act in one of her own productions. Or have you? Yeah. I don't think she has. Actually, I don't think she ever has.
Not mine. Not mine,
but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I've been in movies. I've actually was a drama major. I've been in probably about 5 movies. 4 of them were small parts, and one was the lead, actually, which I didn't want to do, but the director, I think Ciaran knows this, but in the first spur that we did, the director was absolutely insistent the lead had to be me, and I didn't want to do it because I hadn't acted in 15 years, but he said, I had a dream it had to be you, it was very successful, and it needs to be you. So I said, you got to give me a week to think about this because I don't want to ruin your movie, you know. And he took me out to lunch, and I really loved the concept of it. And I said, all right, you got me a couple of weeks. I mean, I got 6 pages of dialogue. It's all me. I got to know how to memorize this. So we did shoot the first spur, which I was the lead in, and because of the trailer from that, he was able to get the money to actually redo it with names. With a lot of names, Sean Young and Robert Clahessy and Sarandino and Ciaran was in it. And I know there's probably a couple of other people I booked too. I can't think of offhand, but because of, again, the trailer that we had, we were able to get the money to do the rest of it, which was 10 times what we had for the short. So, you know, I felt really good about that. And it really, and for a while I'm like, because, you know, you have to see how good you are. You need to do this. I'm like, yeah, but do I need more pain in my life? I have to be an actor now and get rejected even more than I do as a writer and a filmmaker. You know?
My
so
God.
I don't know. I maybe one day. There was one project I thought about doing, but I don't know. We'll see. You know, I thought of doing the lead in the callback, but I'm not sure that I want to do that. I think I'd rather direct it. But we'll see. We'll see.
No, I get it. All right, so we'll flip the question to the actors in a different way, which is this. Because obviously, of course, I assume that both of you at some point in time have worked with a director that wasn't Debra, along with other actors as well. So I want you to kind of put me in the scenario that you were in, which is you've been on set with her and I have not. So tell your listening audience in terms of some of the, where does that comfort level come from in terms of working with her as well as working with one another? Because clearly, just in watching your movie, there's almost a instant connection the minute that Tim walks into the room and sees Janet and Janet sees him. And some actors are able to do that right away, and some actors have to practice that. So talk about just that whole experience with her directing and you being on set and the chemistry between one another.
You want to go first, Ciaran?
No, you go.
No, you go. Nice one.
Okay. Well, we had just had one small rehearsal together. I think just Debra knew that we would connect. And then, in the small rehearsal, it was easy. And we didn't really know each other very well. I mean, now after doing the third movie together, but the third one was pretty intense together. I think I really know you, right? Do I? I don't know. But the with the waiting room, I think there was just that chemistry. Like Debra knew when she put us together, and then once we got on set, I think we spoke, in the green room for like, not much. I still don't really know much about the person, but it's so easy to connect with Ciaran when you're shooting, because he's just right there with you. There's no. It's only about what's happening and me. With him. When he's with me, and when he's with another actor, it's the same thing. So that was my experience. So I think that chemistry, I think, ahead of time, just Debra just knew, and then it just became apparent with just being present for each other.
Yeah,
well,
I would say that's true, and I felt the same way.
Really?
You kind of when you look in someone else's eyes, and you see there's a lot going on, and that you're looking at each other, and that you're really seeing another human being there, who's trying to be genuine, and as opposed to sometimes, I mean, I had the odd Christine now and then in Phantom, and you look them in the eyes and you go, "There's no one home," So it's lovely when you get to work with someone when they're definitely home, and it doesn't, and then it at least for me, then it becomes easy. Because you're connecting on a heart level through the eyes, and
right,
and I think that's easy. Of course, it's facilitated by the fact that there's no tension in the room, and that's Debra's doing. I think great directors and great acting coaches can give you some terrific ideas and come up with ideas that maybe you didn't dawn on you. But I think that the best thing that a director does, and Debra does this in spades, is create a space where you feel safe to be completely open, heart-wise, and vulnerable. And when you're working with someone who is of the same, then it's really lovely.
Oh, and we don't want to forget to mention Heather, obviously, because I also gather that it was the same kind of scenario. Did you all kind of meet each other on the fly? Had you known each other before?
I knew Heather before.
You knew her, right? Yeah.
Yes, we hadn't worked together yet, but we were trying. She also is a filmmaker, and so our films had screened in the same blocks, and I got to know her through festivals as well, and she's just an amazing actress. I just love her so much. She can do everything, anything, and she's like super freaking funny, which I love. You know, that has to be prerequisite. But
I agree.
yeah, right. But she, so we already had known each other, and Justin was also an integral part of the waiting room, and he and I knew each other beforehand, but we had never worked together. But I had seen him in this film that one of Chris Vaglio's films in festivals, and I thought he was really funny, and I always wanted to work with him, which is why I wanted to bring him in, and Debra liked him too, so that was perfect.
Nice. And she's beautiful. I mean, really, I have to ask you, Debra, number one, no one in this film is ugly. I don't know how you manage that, but everyone is physically, aesthetically very good looking, period. And they're all wearing nice clothes, and they're all so cute. When I screened it in Milwaukee, 3 things happened. I cried again. I cry every time. It's ridiculous.
Good.
I know what's coming, and I'm still going to cry. That's the weird part. I'm like, I already know what's going to happen. So I wasn't the only dry eye in the theater. I will tell you, for some strange reason, see, I was pulling for Ciaran. I'm like, everybody's going to love his character, right? No, actually, Justin won out. I was surprised. But I love Justin's character because he's so funny, and he's like, you would too if you weren't used to this. You know, he's got that very over-the-top sort of, which is awesome. One person had a question of why you decided to cast, please forgive me, I forgot her name, with the Black Angel wings.
Noelle.
I'm so sorry.
Noelle.
Yes. Yes.
Noelle.
Somebody asked me that.
I think she's been in 3 of my films so far. She's kind of like my mascot. And, you know, when we were doing this, I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice to have a little comic relief with Noelle there? And she's just kind of, she can play much younger than she is. She can play older than she is. And, you know, so I just had her, you know, having a couple of lines because we needed to do this in one day, so I couldn't get into too many characters. But Justin had the idea of, like, her sitting in the background, and nobody gives better face than Noelle. I mean, you know, her expressions, the laughing.
Yeah, we were bursting ourselves laughing.
Yeah. I mean, almost everywhere we screen, they're laughing at her in the background. You know, just her expression. Right. She's amazing, and I mean, I as far as the actors being good looking, yes, they are, but it's not even a matter of how they look. It's how the camera is going to see them. Because there are some people that the camera loves, and I see that, and there's people that may be beautiful in real life, but you put on the camera and they're not fun to look at. You know, there's nothing that grabs you. And so have been very lucky for the most part, finding people that the camera loves, because if the camera does, the people are going to too, they're going to be drawn to them, and that's, you know, that's real important. And as far as what they were saying about letting them be safe, I like to work with great actors because they're going to bring their own magic to whatever I write. They've already become the character probably more than I've written it. By that point. So sometimes I might say no, but for the most part, usually they have these great ideas that just even develops it further, you know, so you'd be crazy not to go with that as a director.
Well, and I'm curious, too, because this was done as a 72-hour film project, right? If I recall correctly. It was part of a 72-hour film challenge. So when I'm listening to your actors say, well, we were so relaxed and comfortable, all I'm thinking is, as a rational person, do you understand, folks, that that's 3 days? Just so you know, I mean, I'm going to throw this out here. Logic for a minute. Yeah, 3 days, okay? So all I'm thinking is, what the hell? I mean, how do you do this in 3 days?
But it wasn't even shooting. It wasn't shooting for 3 days.
No,
you know,
like 10 hours.
It was shooting for 1.
Yeah, we only had money to shoot for 1. So they did that. Then I kind of didn't sleep for the rest of the week because I'm waiting for the sound clip to come over, you know, from Nick to Mark, so Mark can begin the editing. And so I'm staying up in case, you know, somebody needs me for something, which of course they did. So 2, 3 in the morning, I'm making sure this is passed along or that's passed along or this is okay, no change that. So they're sleeping in their beds and life is great. And I'm still like working all day long with Mark Ryu, who is my DP and also did me the favor of editing this. Because usually I usually have another editor, but he wasn't available. And then Nick Beto, who did the sound and also some Foley work. And I mean, we had to fire people during a short period of time. I mean, I had a lovely person who wanted to score it for free, but it just didn't connect with the material. I didn't feel it, and it really wasn't time to do a lot of passes. So I called composer that lives in Italy that had scored my other film, Chosen, and he said, Eros, I know it's the middle of the night. I know it's morning there. Can you score something by tonight? And he's like, yeah, sure. I put next to him, yeah, sure. And by that night, I had the score that we just all fell in love with. So it was, everybody really staying on their game, and the actors, I mean, they were so perfect that day, which is why we were able to do it so quickly. We had an economy of shots because clearly we couldn't take every angle possible. There wasn't time and there wasn't money. Right. So it's truly my favorite project that I've ever done, and probably the least amount of money and the least amount of time. But everybody was so great, and the actors had their lines down, and they really connected with each other and brought things like, okay, blocking. Okay, Heather's standing there, but Ciaran's there with Jen, so how are we getting? It's like, I'll do this. Perfect. It worked. Everybody just kind of said, let's try this. They're just all such pros that it made my job easier.
Wow. It's almost like a big love affair on this show, isn't it, folks? I'm just listening to all this love circulating around, and I'm like, oh, I almost wish I was in a movie with her. Hell no. I acted once, and they gave me alcohol, and I got drunk. That's exactly what happened. And then I realized I can't act. I mean, I can act drunk, but I can't act. I couldn't say a line. I wasn't natural. I couldn't stand. I couldn't do anything. And I don't listen to people very well. I don't take rules very well. I don't take direction very well. So I would be like the worst actor in the world. So I'm going to stick to my writing, thank you God, because I don't think I could do what you do. It's important to ask this question because you guys are actors and she's a director. One of the biggest things I ever ask on this show is the obvious, which is I have about, I'm guessing 1/4 of my audience, which is about 10,000 people who act for a living, and then there's another small portion that direct for a living. If they're listening right now and you could give them one piece of advice about longevity and a length of time on screen and how important it is to work on one element to become a better actor, what would that be?
Jen?
Yourself.
I notice how Ciaran never goes first.
I know. He's such a gentleman.
I was right.
Yeah, Ciaran, maybe you should answer first, huh?
Stillness.
Stillness. Yeah. Yep.
Really?
Yeah, just yourself. I mean, just knowing you're, just being
that
present.
You're plenty.
Yeah, knowing that, yeah. Yep.
Would you guys recommend, acting classes? Because I've been hearing that a lot lately from folks talking about furthering education. She's like, no, why would I want to do that?
Nah. No, I mean...
Sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. I would. I would. I mean, my last... What's so funny?
Yeah, no, yeah,
no. Exactly.
So you wouldn't take
it depends
acting
who
classes.
it is. It depends what class it is.
Okay.
Ciaran, you answer that because you going to them currently.
I'm a big advocate of working on your craft.
Okay.
I just the difficulty with acting is that there's so few teachers who are really good at it. A lot of times you've got actors who couldn't quite make it themselves, so they decide they're going to teach. And it's different, than dance. I mean, I don't know much about dance. I mean, I live with two dancers, but Jen, you can answer to this better. But at least in a dance class, a teacher can look over and go, "Oh, your foot is sickled." Can give you some basis of technique where a lot of acting teachers don't kind of get it, and but they're still out there teaching. I've worked with, I've been lucky to work with some really terrific ones, like Bobby Lewis, who started the Actors Studio, and Larry Moss, who's a good pal, and Jay Goldenberg, and I feel like I've learned a lot from them, and I feel like I continue to learn as I continue to study, and for me that's fun. I love the learning. So I think that for whatever that's worth, that people who think because they can speak, because we all yap, that they can act, I don't think they get it.
Painful. I get that all the time. Oh, can you put me in your movie? Can you act? Sure. I'm like, what's your training? Well, I don't have any training, but I'll be really good. It's like, no.
Okay. Huh. So that means director, lady. I guess we should ask you, because obviously, of course, you've worn many hats, but clearly the directing seems to be what dictates your heart at this present time. So if someone's listening in today and they're even kind of on the fence about starting it, looking into it, becoming something like this, what's that one golden nugget that they need to know or realize or think about before purging into such a passionate career such as this?
Oh, man. I think that if you're going to be a first-time director, I think you should probably work with your own project to try and, if you're a writer, if you certainly are a writer, then try and write something that's close to your heart and see if you can get the actors to bring out what you need. Because there's so much to being a director. It's not just telling people what to do, but knowing you have the right people there doing it. So it's having that eye for talent. Don't put your friends in there unless you're friends with people like Jen and Ciaran, because it'll be painful. My style might not be everybody's style, but I don't want to work with anybody less than great actors, and I want to see what they bring to it, because it's them that's going to make this great. I can have the best story in the world, but if it's not interpreted properly, it won't matter. If there's one bad performance, it's probably sunk your whole project. And the actors are going to bring such magic to it if you have great people, that it's going to be richer than what you ever could have done yourself. So, I think maybe keep your eye on the actors. That's why I think Jen said before, and I agree, is I'm a actor's director. And so I check the technical stuff, of course, but I need a good ID, that's maybe going to notice something I won't. Like, gee, the grip just walked by, and I'm paying attention to the actors' faces. And usually I catch that, but, to me, it's all about their expressions. And, it's all about, is the audience going to read that correctly? Are they going to catch, what the actors need to do? So I do a lot of close-up shots because everything is in the eyes. And, that's my own thing. It's hard to say because everybody has their own style, but you have to really respect your actors as well, because I think one thing that Jen and Ciaran know, and pretty much people I've used many times, is I'm never going to let them do something that's not going to be good for them. If we all have a bad day, where something doesn't work out, well, then there's a way around it. Let's shoot something else first, or let's do things happen, and if the actors know that you trust them and that it's safe, then you're going to get stuff that's almost unimaginably beautiful, and it's kind of what I do.
Ron, you remind me of, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but obviously you know that our dear mutual friend John Gallagher does the exact same thing you do. In fact, I was just noticing that the other day, because, John has a habit of using his same actors again and again and again. He kind of finds some great talent, and he says, you know what, I'm going to cast them. And he'll use them in 3 or 4 different films. And I just couldn't help but think to myself, you know what, I wonder if Debra and John are becoming more like each other and not really realizing it. Did you notice that, or is it just me? Maybe it's just me.
I never
well, it's true.
That, actually. Yeah, I guess you're right about that. I love John. One of the high points of my career so far was winning a Best Director for a short the same day that John was winning the Best Director for a feature. And I'm like, oh my God, right. I just won a Best Director award with you. And then he had been watching Leaving, and he grabbed my arm as I was walking by and said, who's that star, Molly? How is she? Molly Raymond. And I said, she's a dream. Right. And he said, I want to work with her. And because he had seen some people in my films that he will remember that and hire these people. So that's a huge compliment to me. But I hadn't noticed that with John, but I guess I do. I guess I do. I'm sometimes so internalized, I don't know what's going on right around me. But,
that's why I'm here, to remind you of things.
Yeah,
but it does. And you guys have the same style, and obviously you've worked with some tremendous talent. John has been called an actor's director numerous times, and actually in a perfect world, I would have you both in the same room working on a project together, because, he works with Stanulus a lot, and I'm like, I would love to see the two of you work together, because you have great talent. On both sides of your fences, you guys work with tremendous actors. Top-notch A-list actors who are at the top of their game. So, yeah, in a perfect world, I would have something like that occur, obviously. So now, before I forget the obvious question, which is, you guys are all moving beyond the waiting room, clearly, so that means we should talk about upcoming projects. So I'm going to start with Jennifer, because I know there's a couple things I wanted to ask about. Status of Mother of the Week moments, for sure. We want to talk about that. And then if you want to give me an update about the original Catfish and, of course, Curveballs, because we kind of want to see where some of this stuff is at, where you're headed, where's your next direction going.
Okay. I forgot the first question already. What's
Mother of the Week.
Mother of the Week.
It's the Mother of the Week thing.
Yeah. Mother of the Week. My partners and I are still at it, trying to sell it as a series. And my Mother of the Week moments are these little vlogs that I do that are 1 minute, and it basically fuels more episodes. It's topics for the series. So, and coming from my real life, and that's on my YouTube channel. And Mother of the Week we just screened at the Vassar Film Festival in Washington, D.C. It was the D.C. alumni. The original Catfish, we're almost ready to launch that site. We will see. This is a company that two other women and I were conned by this con man, and we are going to be. I've written a series pitch and do a series on his 50-year stint as a con man. He continues. We still catch him online. So we have a website that sort of exposes him and also is a place for people to go for help if they've been conned online. Okay. And then also there's a show, hopefully. What was the other? Oh, Curveballs. I think I have a major sports celebrity interested. That's a pilot. It's a behind the scenes of a baseball show for kids. That was the cool. Pilot was written by Fred Straupel, and who's my writing partner for Mother of the Week. And so that I would love to just shoot that soon. It's I wouldn't play the host in this one because I'm too old for the host this time around, but I would be the producer, play the producer. It's like a show within a show. So that's what's coming up next for me. Yeah.
Jennifer, you've seen yourself, right? Because you were just talking about being too old. Have you looked at yourself? What is she, like 30 years
well,
old?
No, listen.
Seriously.
No. She's
when you
like
look
20.
at her, she looks like she's like 30, right? And she's like, oh, but I'm too old to play the host. Give me a break. Okay, you look 30 and your legs are into next week. Yeah.
Oh,
big problem.
You were so sweet. Yeah.
Lady.
Yeah.
Well,
well, when I hosted that Mets show, I was at a ripe old age of
younger?
Like 20. Yeah, a lot younger. So.
You're not quite 20 anymore. You're a little bit beyond that. I got it.
No.
Okay, now we're gonna flip over to Ciaran because I want to ask a couple questions about your upcoming things, just so I clarify correctly. As I understand it, you are doing both the Four Phantoms in concert and Broadway and beyond, correct? And you also do obviously an evening with friends on occasion, just so I understand all the current upcoming gigs.
Yeah.
I'm about to read them all. So you actively involved in
I think
all
it's going to get a lot more focused on the Four Phantoms. I think we're going to be at the Venetian next year for a couple of weeks, and they're talking about a world tour. So they've asked the four of us to kind of keep our schedules kind of open. And so there's a play I want to try and get done before that sort of takes off and goes mad. Anna Christie by Eugene O'Neill. I'd like to get that done, and maybe in the spring. And did I hear you say you're in Milwaukee?
Actually, before you answer that question, because we're going in that direction, but I want to ask another question first, because I'm already on top of you, because I'm journalist, so I already know, and I'm going to announce it shortly. But
all right.
I want to find out, I checked on the IMDb, so I'm curious if you can give us a status update on the movie. You did a movie called Burr, and I wasn't sure because I thought it was in post-production, so do we have any news, status, any thoughts on when we're going to see something like that?
That would be a question for me, I think.
It would indeed.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Markowitz. I was going to ask your actor. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. No. He just doesn't know. Otherwise, I wouldn't care.
Yeah, I have an
idea.
Okay, go for it.
Actually, we're at this point, I believe, finished post. I've only seen part of it, and the director is shopping it. At this point, Joey Megahertz is his stage name. But Ciaran played Joan Jett's husband, which was really cool. But he can take it up there. But that's basically just this point, being shopped and editing down. Yeah.
is the Joan Jett one done? Dinosaur?
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Oh, wait. No, that's not. Oh, crap! I'm getting my movies mixed up.
That's okay.
That's a tough problem, isn't it? Damn, I got those movies confused. There's so many.
Sean Young's boss. Sean Young's boss in Burr. Okay, yeah. So that's everything I said up was correct. And then Joan Jett was Dinosaur, not Burr. Okay, take it away. Oh my God,
listen to her. She's killing me. Okay, let's get back to Ciaran now. Thanks, Phil, for interrupting. Appreciate that. Okay, so back to Ciaran.
I needed her to because I hadn't a clue.
No, I understand. I'm sure she'll interject again. Don't worry, because I have to ask her about another one of her movies. Maybe she'll remember that one. Just saying. Okay, so we want to let folks know, number one, on October 26th, he will be in Corona, New York. Obviously, from 6 to 9, he's going to be doing the Parker Jewish Institute 2017 Gala. If you want to find out more information about that, I don't want to forget to mention parkerinstitute.org. So you'll want to check that out, obviously. November 4th, and how ironic, because interestingly enough, he said you're in Wisconsin. And so here I am looking at Ciaran's website, and sure enough, he's coming to Wisconsin. So now I get to sit in the back of the theater and be very afraid of the person sitting in the front. Because apparently, if you're nice to me, it's called Ciaran, An Evening with Friends. He will be there at 7:30, November 4th, and that's going to be at Middleton Performing Arts Center. Now, Middleton's about 90 minutes away, and on my Instagram, I just posted, I just went to see a filmmaker actually in Madison this last weekend, and how ironic, I'm a little nervous. How weird is this? I went to UW-Madison to see the screening, and the next day there was a guy on campus with a gun in his hand. It was so freaky. I'm like, oh, my God. So, yeah, I mean, I'm feeling real good about travel now. But no, yeah, I think if I can learn to not be afraid of you between now and then I would absolutely love to attend. I thought about bringing my son to hear you sing, but I'm afraid in 15 minutes he'll be like, yeah, that was fun.
He's
Can
done.
we leave now?
Yeah.
yeah, he's going to be like, yeah, this is so much fun. Your friend's saying, yay, let's go home now, or let's go play on YouTube or whatever. So I'm like, they probably aren't going to want to do that. The other thing I want you to address is you have been talking about doing a sound healing program where you're using music and meditation and story to create kind of a journey to joy. So talk to the folks a little bit about, are you doing that now? Is it something you're going to be doing in the future? How can they get involved with something like this?
It's something I've done in the past. I've done it on my own, and then I've done it with James Van Praagh. We've done it a couple of times at the Omega Center in Rhinebeck, New York. And we've done we've done some cruises together, and then some shows. And in fact, Jen came to one a couple of weeks ago here in Jersey, and
it's incredible. It's so moving, the whole thing.
Oh, I bet.
It's great fun, and people, when you see people have an emotional, spiritual shift in their lives, I find that the most rewarding thing that I've ever done. People to talk about, he played the Phantom on Broadway and sold out Carnegie Hall, but to see the faces of one or two people in a space, and you see them let go of their pain. That's the most rewarding thing. And it's not. People say, "Oh, you're so generous," and I think not really. It's sort of selfish. It really makes me feel great. I get great joy out of it. So there's a great payoff for me in that. So, and I hope to do more of it. Yeah.
It'll be awesome. So does that mean I should still come to your other show, like the Evening with Friends? Is that, I'm going to assume that's just all sorts of different assortments of music that you're playing, or is it specified songs that you'll be
most
singing?
of my concerts that way are a mixture of Broadway and some Irish. The soprano who's coming with me was she was Christine in Phantom on Broadway, and she did Magnolia and Showboat on Broadway, and we're there with our accompanist who conduct a whole bunch of Broadway shows. And then there's a local guy driving up. He's a 5-time world champion accordion player, button accordion player, and he's fabulous. And so he's joining us, and so there'll be a fair shake of Broadway and some Irish stuff there. So. And I don't bite, and I haven't killed yet. So there you are.
Yes. Did you hear that? Yes. Until somebody cast me as Jason, and then all of a sudden I show up at a concert and I'm not coming home. Yeah, I see how that works. All right, we don't want to forget the obvious, which is Date with a Narcissist also, and the Rocking Chair series, which I know obviously you and Debra collaborated on. Do we have statuses on either one of those, or should I just ask the director again?
I would ask
the director.
I'm the one who knows. Date with a Narcissist.
We're just monkeys on strings.
Yeah,
I know. Apparently, she's the big dog here. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Debra, go ahead.
Date with a Narcissist is still being edited. That was supposed to be a practice piece that got way bigger than it was intentionally supposed to be. Started as 3 pages, then went to 20, and all of a sudden, 8 actors. And so it's being edited, and we're figuring out what to do with it. And before I kind of invest any more money, got to figure out what we got. And so far, it's looking pretty good. But while that's, being edited slowly, we started working on other projects, one of them being The Choice, which is episode 1 of the Rocking Chair series, which stars both Jen and Ciaran, and also Susanna Guzman from The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And I wrote it and with creator Roxana Lisi, and also cast it, directed it, and it's interesting because it's way longer than anything I've done, which kind of makes it long for short, but short for a feature. And I should be getting actually the first pass any day now. And so I'm really nervous about that because if the first time I see it, I'm like, this is terrible, this sucks, and then 2 months later after blood, sweat, and tears, of course, it usually looks pretty good. But, I'm at that stage where I'm terrified of what it's going to look like. Although their acting was phenomenal, just unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. So that's that. Date with a Narcissist is there. That's that. I have a movie chosen, which I'm going to start sending around once I finish with Waiting Room. We got into LA Shorts, which is an Academy Award qualifying film festival. I directed and cast that. The writer was Shari Umansky. And so when Waiting Room is done, I'll start pushing that out. I did Dinosaur, which I cast. Well, I did some of the casting for Fred Carpenter, and Ciaran's in that. And there he plays Joan Jett's husband. And it's got Ed Asner, Kevin Brown, and Robert Lahesi, and Chuck Zito, and Joan Jett, and so on and so forth. And I think they have one more day to film. Barry's being shot. A couple of guys we're still raising money for, but we're getting closer to getting it in the can. And I'm very excited about that. That's kind of
How was the fundraiser, by the way? How did it go, the event?
It went
of guys.
It went well. Another step closer, So I have an idea for something to bring in the rest, but I have to speak to Mr. Sheehan about that. And I have a short that I'm thinking of playing with, but I don't know if I want to or not, called The Hurting Places, because it may need to be a feature, so that's kind of sitting there right now. And I just wrote a horror film for somebody, and I'm writing a Christmas film for somebody.
I saw this Christmas trip. Yeah, by the way, is that Narcissist movie based on anyone I know? Did I ask you this already? Because here's one. I'm not saying it.
It's a lot of people. It's based on a lot of people, But we've all had our experiences, and we've all had experiences. And you hope that when it's done and out there, that maybe could help somebody. But then there's also the knowing that if somebody's in a relationship with one of these people, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship relationship, that if they're deep in it, they're not going to see it anyway, because these people are really good and really believable. So it's not until they get burned where they might look at this and go, oh, that's what happened. That's what happened to me. It's not that they're, a bad person. It's not that they're stupid. It's just if you have a good heart and you're kind of an open person, and of course you're going to trust people. So we can't really understand somebody who's, somebody who just can easily lie and do it so convincingly. It's a kind of terrifying thing, and it goes through over some of the steps without actually blatantly stating them about what the narcissists do. And Ciaran, unfreaking believable in this. He because he had to turn on a dime, because it has to be a character that you have to absolutely fall in love with. But then when he turns so quickly, it's like, wait, what? And so I'm hoping to bring that out, and even
sort of.
Yeah, actually, a lot of them are sociopaths, but
can't wait
it's just a lot of narcissists. But
I'm getting afraid. I'm seriously getting afraid of this man now. Seriously. I'm done. And then he does that. Who does that, right? I mean, seriously.
Yeah,
do I have to be around him?
There's one thing he does in this that even makes me jump off, fall off my chair every time I watch it. There's one part where he just turns around to the lead, and she's caught him in something, and they can't ever be wrong. So basically she catches him in something, and he just turns around, his whole face turns. She's like, no, I F you, he screams at him. I almost fall off my chair because it's terrifying. But that's the only time I've ever seen him be terrifying. And I made him do it.
Oh.
So.
Great. I can't wait to see that one.
Yes.
Well, on that note, now that we have a homicidal killer on here, that's great.
There you go.
Well, good that you came on the show. I appreciate that. Now, here's what we're going to do, because we're down to the wire here. Can you believe it? This time goes so fast. I tell this to people on my show all the time. Did I do all right? I always like to do self-analysis. I could have done better.
Thank you so much.
No, really. I've done better.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I did well, but there was a lot of ground, and we don't have enough time to cover it, which is what the Q&A is about. Now, show of hands, is everyone coming to the screening?
I am.
I know Debra is now. Now I got yelled at for it. Thanks a lot. No, I changed the time, and one director got a little upset, and I'm like, I really have to do this because I really wanted to have Debra there. I knew Jennifer was coming. Is the serial killer coming that day to the screening?
Which date is this?
Well, unfortunately, we had to change it. It's the 28th, which is a Saturday, and it's screening at 5:15.
Yeah, my son is performing in A.R. Gurney's The Dining Room. So.
That means you can't go.
That means I can't come.
That means I'll live another day. He
you
can't
will.
Tell me
See, there's that.
But this means that I have to drive. Now I have to come to Middleton to meet you then. Since you're not coming to my event, I have to come and see you then, of course, which I will. Now, I don't want to forget to remind everybody, they are going to be screening The Waiting Room at Art is Alive Film Festival, which has now changed locations for the final time, which is the Dog Craft and Kitchen, which is inside the Four Points Sheraton Hotel. It's going on at 5:15 on the 28th. I'm going to read off. First, we'll start with Jennifer. All the different ways to find you. If when I'm done I forgot anything, please let me know. Her website is jennifergiles.com. She also has motheroftheweek.com, and she can also be found on the following places: IMDb, YouTube, LinkedIn, Vimeo. She has a personal Facebook. Her Twitter is @xrockette. She is on Amazon, and her Instagram is Mother of the Week. Any other place to find you?
No, that's it. Yeah, and it's Jiles with a J. Jennifer Jiles with a J.
Jiles. I'm so sorry. I should have said that. Giles, like J. Giles band, only J.
That's right.
Giles.
Right,
Not that,
exactly.
But the Giles. Just remember the long legs. The long legs in the 30-year-old Mother of the Week. That's what we say about her. Now we're on to Ciaran with the biceps, triceps, etc. She has a Facebook personal page, and just so you folks know, it's spelled Ciaran, and of course Sheehan, Sheehan. He has a Facebook personal page. He has a Wikipedia page. Kudos to him because most of us don't even know how to do that. No, I do. I'm just not that big.
Do I really? Jeez, I haven't done that. I wonder who did that.
Dun, 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 dun. It's probably one of your victims. Just saying.
Maybe.
The website, again, it's CiaranSheehan.com, which is Ciaran, and it's Sheehan. Just so you folks know, he has that little accent thing on the little A, just so you know that. His Instagram, of course, is Ciaran J. Sheehan. He has an IMDb profile. He is on YouTube and also on Amazon. Any other place where folks can find you, social media-wise, or website?
Gosh, I don't know. CD Baby?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I'm sorry.
And iTunes.
I should write that down. Oh, that's right, CD Baby and iTunes. Duh, you're a singer. Sorry. Please don't kill me. Okay, and on to Debra. That's for last. I know, right? This is going to totally, be sticking with him ever since this interview. I heard that he's a serial killer. Just kidding, sort of. Okay.
Yep,
Debra,
you should see him go at a box of Captain Crunch.
Oh, my God. We're going to pretend like I just didn't hear that. Just so you folks know, before I forget, two things. This interview will be archived in about 2 hours. To each one of you, I will send over both the Blog Talk Radio link as well as the YouTube link, because I upload them all to my YouTube channel as well. And just so the listening audience knows, combined together, they are in more affiliations, more networks, have won more awards than probably most people I know. Frankly, I just don't have time to list them all off, so go to their website and look at it. But they're fabulous and amazing, and they'll be at my festival. Okay, so Debra's is going to take about 12 minutes, so here we go. Her name is Debra Markowitz. She has a Facebook personal page, and just so you know, Markowitz is spelled Markowitz. No, she does not have Buddha's last name, which is Moran, by the way. Her Facebook other page is Intention Films and Media. The actual website itself is intentionfilmsandmedia.com. She has an IMDb profile. She is on YouTube, Vimeo, and Amazon. She is on Twitter at Debra Markowitz. And, of course, LongIslandFilm.com, and also for Facebook pages relative to her films. We have The Waiting Room. Let's try that again. And this is the wine. The Waiting Room movie, Leaving the Movie, Last Taxi Cab Driver, and, of course, her professional page. Did I miss anything, boss lady?
Do we say Instagram? I'm not sure if I said Instagram. Debra Markowitz Film.
Oh, I had it written down, but I just didn't read it. Yes, her Instagram is Debra Markowitz Film. Notice how she caught me on that. Shocker. She's always got to be the boss everywhere, including on my damn show. Thanks so much. Okay, so the last thing we do on my show is I get to tell you all what I think of you. And because you've never been on my show, you probably didn't expect any of that. But that's the last thing that I do. And, well, before I run into my shower and go get my children, because I've spent all my afternoon with you. So there you go. So we'll start with Jennifer first. Jennifer, this is what I want to say to you. The very first time that I was introduced to Jennifer was in her film, actually. I never really met her in person, to tell you the truth. And she was so lovely to come out to the Q&A that I did for Mr. John Gallagher for the deli. And let me tell you the first thing I thought of when she walked up to me. This smile was so pleasing and so pretty and so lovely. And it wasn't her looks necessarily that caught me. What caught me was that she had the attitude of a 20-year-old woman, the sass of a 16-year-old gal, the legs that go from here, there to everywhere. And what was the cutest part about speaking to her was she was a very intelligent, intellectual human being who is wonderful at her craft, who knows her stuff, she doesn't have an ego. She doesn't have any sense of narcissism to her. She's just so pleasant to be around. She's pleasant to look at. She's wonderful on screen because she doesn't seem to take herself too seriously. I love your comedy. I love your cavalier flair for just being yourself so easily on and off camera. I feel very blessed and fortunate that I got to meet you at that event. I'm so pleased that you're in my festival, and I'm just even honored to know you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's move on to Serial Killer. Oh, wait, Ciaran, that's his name. Okay, so this is what I want to tell you. So I was nervous. I was so nervous from the time that I actually watched the film to actually approaching you. And I even said to Debra, I was like, Debra, I don't think I can talk to this guy. He scares me. There's just something inside of this person that just makes me nervous. And I normally don't get nervous about most people that I meet or I interview. There are three things that I knew that I wanted to say to you today. First of all, you should know in case and I didn't direct you and I didn't star with you, but this is what I can tell you as an outside observer. Any person that can make me cry repeatedly clearly has something inside of themselves that's very strong and very sweet and very sentimental, and you have all three of those qualities. I don't think you've ever heard nearly enough in your lifetime that you're extraordinarily talented, that you are extraordinary as a human being, and that you are worthy and wonderful. And these are all the impressions I get from looking at you on screen, listening to you now for the last hour, and I've listened to you perform, and I can hear within the tone of your voice that you have much to say that's written and unwritten as of yet, and you have far more of a story to tell than I think that you've shown your audience yet. And I just look forward to being able to seeing you in person and perform, and I will get over my fear in the next 2 weeks, I promise you. And thank you for making the time to come on the show. So that's what I think of you. Well,
I'll take that any day of the week. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're quite welcome. So that leaves Debra. I can't talk too long because I will cry. Debra is the one person who I have the good fortune of knowing and who I have the good fortune of being a good friend with. She doesn't know that her stone has been sitting here the whole time that she sent me. There are three things that I have learned from my dear friend Debra. It's that I am worthy and that I am loved and that I am okay, 100% flawed. I couldn't possibly tell you how much I've missed you in our little hiatus and how very thrilled that I am that I not only get to talk to you, but I get to love you and I get to showcase your work and I get to learn from you all the time. So I'm going to stop talking because I'm starting to cry and I'm just going to say I love you and thank you so much for coming on my show. Oh, that doesn't happen often on this show.
I love you and thank you for that. That means a lot.
but it's very true. And I kept my stone here, so my best friend's stone is on one side. She sent me this lovely stone on the other side. This is probably why I was petrified. It's really hard for me to interview people that I'm so close to. It's just the bar is just 150%. So I want to say that the interview went well, but the Q&A will be even better. But unfortunately, Ciaran can't be with us, but that's okay. And I will get over my fear, I promise. I'll work on it every day. But I swear to God, if I'm sitting here tonight and I'm watching Jason and it's 10 o'clock and I'm scared, guess who's getting a Facebook message? Stalker. Just saying. I'm going to be like, oh, I'm just sitting here in the dark in my nice little Glendale house, and who am I thinking about? That's kind of creepy. But give me 2 hours. I'll send over the archive copy. I'm sorry it took 2 hours, but I'm not really sorry because we had a lot of ground to cover. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so excited. Thank you for the film. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for letting me screen it. Thank you for your performance. I can't wait to see you guys. Really, truly, I can't. And thank you for this. I appreciate it more than I can.
Thank you so much for your time.
Anytime,
you.
Dear.
Thank you.
All right, kids.
I'm
going to wrap it up and
Take
go
care.
get naked and go get my kids.
Okay.
Take care, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, we have our last 4 minutes to wrap it all up. One more time, Debra Markowitz. It is intentionfilmsandmedia.com. Her Facebook pages, she has a personal page, and again, it's Markowitz, Markowitz, and also Intention Films and Media. Her other movie Facebook pages, The Waiting Room Movie, Leaving the Movie, Last Taxi Driver, and of course, her professional page. She is on IMDb, Amazon, YouTube, and Vimeo. The other website, of course, for Long Island is longislandfilm.com. Her Twitter handle is @Debra Markowitz, and her Instagram is Debra Markowitz Film. As far as Ciaran goes, one more time, he is on Facebook, and it's Ciaran, and Sheehan is the last name. It's CiaranSheehan.com is the website. He has a Wikipedia page, IMDb, YouTube, Amazon, iTunes, CD Baby, and his Instagram is Ciaran J. Sheehan. And last but not least, Jennifer Jiles. The website itself is jennifersgiles.com, and that's Giles with a J. She is on YouTube, LinkedIn, Vimeo, IMDb. Motheroftheweek.com is the project we were referring to. She's also on Amazon. She is on Facebook with her personal page. Twitter is @XRockette, and her Instagram is Mother of the Week, of course. Big, big thanks to all three of those folks. And again, everybody, October 28th, and it is screening at 5:15 till 6, which includes a Q&A panel with Debra and Jennifer, maybe even Heather, we hope. I want to thank you guys so much for listening in. Tomorrow's show is our last filmmaker, which is Junie Moon Schreiber, who will be on the show at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time to talk about the film Shed the Shame. You guys have a great afternoon. I'm going to go get my kiddos. You take care. Thanks for listening in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.